jump around, but I keep a list, and eventually we'll make sure to finish every single simon. There's two special things that are done the night of Yom Kippur, which is Aldas Hamokim and Kol Nidre. I mean, all in all, it's called Kol Nidre. Starts off with the same 3 times. Aldas Hamokim ve'aladas hakovol v'yeshiva shel malo v'yeshiva shel mato onomatidim v'yispaleli yigim avayonim. So what's the point of this one? The Gemara says in Krisus that if the only way a tefillah at a tainis tzibur is accepted if the kehila takes in also the Poishe Yisrael. If they take in the Poishe Yisrael. So you want to take in the Poishe Yisrael. So we'll talk about this soon, the nusach, exactly what's the correct nusach. And then we start with Kol Nidre, which Kol Nidre is a tefillah that's brought in the Zoyar. So you see also Bahari Kodesh in the Zoyar Kodesh, and there are those that Rishonim that say it was really a takana from the days of the Gaonim. But those Rishonim might have not known that it's really Befedish in the Zoyar, which means it's much before the time of the Gaonim.
This Avayonim is the Mezid or Shogeg?
We'll talk soon about the Avayonim. We'll talk soon which Avayonim we're talking about.
And why we changing the nusach? Why we don't say the word Poishe Yisrael? Why we say Avayonim?
Yeah, because we'll talk which Avayonim we're talking about. Okay, let's go straight into it. Top of the issue test. Leil Yom HaKippurim. Noigim shekedim shemizbalan amatinim l'chol Avayonim.
That doesn't mean that we do in the morning. It's not different.
It's a different thing, as you see soon. What's the difference? It's brought Sforim HaKadoshim that it's a big mitzvah to buy the schus. The Alter Rebbe brings it in the Siddur. The Alter Rebbe, exactly, that it's an unbelievable schus to buy the first Torah. Exactly.
It's different than Hatarat Nedarim, right?
Yeah, we'll talk about it. Yeah. Right. This is a different thing. It's a totally different thing. The Alter Rebbe brings the Inyan Asvarim Shemitzem Aleil Yom HaKippurim V'Yom Aleim Kol Nidrei Mitzvah Gedoylo Liknoi Sefer Ishem V'Yom HaPosach Or Zerul HaTzadik V'Liyishel Simcha. What's the idea of taking out the Svarim? Because we find, just like when a person makes a neder, you want to be a shvua, that a person makes the shvua that you're holding a sefer Torah, la'ayim alav, to realize that person knows how serious it is. So same thing here. We want it should be that the oilam sees that it's a very serious thing. Okay. Who is the Avaryonim? Now that they're in Chedem, we can't daven with the kol. So we matter for them in order for them to daven ba'aguda achash. Amar chacham kol taina shebashem b'mim Poishe Yisrael in the tainas sherechel ben reichara amon ha'kosim saman ha'aktoris. In those days, especially if there was ever a sichsuf, so the call would put a person on chedem. So they wanted to undo. Not so much, right? Not so much. Because if they'll do it, it's not going to help. The person will become more popular.
They do it for people who don't want to go again. Do a hair, so you can come to the shul. You can't sit in shul.
Yeah.
Only understand.
Yeah.
It helps.
Sometimes it helps, and sometimes it makes them more popular. The Kate said, "Natin lahem hagadol shebakol matzaravim mishnei anoshim kedei shehem yiyu mishulochem." They should be the shluchim shall call la'ater lahem. Magadol shebakol u'shliach tzibur kavur b'yir im tzarich l'tzaravim mishum adam la'ater lahem. L'pisha yadua shliach tzibur the kilo kol hiter lahem. The minig is to have the Shliach Tzibur plus 2 more people standing next to him. That proves that he's the Shliach of everyone. But if he's the Shliach Kavu, it's not necessary. Yeshiva Shalmaila, Yeshiva Shalmat, Al Das Amokim, Al Das Akol, and Masmin Laspalim, Avion. Kolema Shai, Yeshivas Maskimas, Latzor of Das Amokim, Al Das Akol, Ahatelai. That the yeshivas are maskim that they're going to take the Das Amokim, Das Akol, to Mimata. V'loyim betchila al Das Amokim, Al Das Akol, v'achkech b'yeshiva Shalmaila. The point our minig is to do that way. We say first al Das Amokim, Al Das Akol, b'yeshiva Shalmaila, b'yeshiva Shalmata. We do it the way he says. Shaloyim. Nemesis, there's a discussion of Poskim. Some say that this was a better lashon, the others a better lashon. Some say it's better the way we say it. Das Amokim, Das Akol should be first. And others say no. First we should talk about Yeshiva Shalmaila, Yeshiva Shalmata. Akaponim, there's a maila in each way, each nusach.
Sfaradim said first B'Yeshiva Shalmala.
Right? Yeah? Okay. So there's a mile in each way. Okay. Then comes Kol Nidre. Simen Tofre Shutesiv base. Then comes Kol Nidre. As I mentioned before, some think that the Goinim were metaking it, but the truth is it's Befedish in the Zoya. Befedish in the Zoya, the Kol Nidre. In the Sefer, I was looking up before about the Nusach, the Yeshiva Shalmaila, Yeshiva Shalmata. So there's a Sefer, Divrei Chaim B'Sholom, from a Talmud of the Minket Shuruv, and he says that it happened, and he says it happened more than once, that the Minket Shuruv used to come. He said the first thing when he came to Bais Medrash, the night of Yom Kippur, he said, Se'efen alle Fenster. Open all the windows. All the windows must be open. In other words, the Meram is that in heaven now all the windows are open. And he had two Sefer Torah that were very precious. One that was a Sefer Torah from the Baal Shem Tov, and one a Sefer Torah that was written by three big tzaddikim.
Where is it now?
I don't know. Who knows?
Is there a museum?
I don't know where it's now.
Hashem used to read from this day.
Yeah. You have to find out. If someone asks in Bar Park, ask the family.
Torah museum. That would have been my second guess.
I would say in Bar Park, if you could find out by the family, I'm sure they would know the answer.
Family of who?
The Minket Shuruv. So right. So he had the Dinever Rebbe was a Zayda, and there was another two tzaddikim, and sometimes one or the other Torah. And he would say, in the name of these big tzaddikim, Ribbon Shalom, we're going to be Mata Yeshua to keep the Yidden involved.
You need to people, so
he's going to be Mata Neder for the Ribbon Shalom. He's going to be Mata Neder for the Ribbon Shalom now.
that was the opening.
Yeah.
Wow.
He's going to be Mata Neder for the Ribbon Shalom, and everyone would scream out to the Ribbon Shalom, Muterlach, Muterlach, Muterlach.
Is there allowed to do that?
He was a big tzaddik. He probably.
Oh, my different. It's backwards.
It's a Hasidic story.
Yeah.
No, it's true.
Do you know?
It is true.
No Hasidic
No.
story.
He was. He had an unbelievable heavenly friendship. It was Saba Kadisha, who was 107 years old. Chacham Alafandri in Yerushalayim.
Like my grandfather was. He was still 107.
107 years old, and he was. The Minket Rebbe had unbelievable affinity for him. He went all the way to Eretz Yisrael to visit him. Anyway, he probably was a tzaddik and he knew what he was doing. There was another story. Let's read a little bit. Shliach Tzibur, Kol Nidrei. Shliach Tzibur says Kol Nidrei. Yom Kippurim zeh ad Yom Kippurim barlanu l'teiv. V'noyim kedei lahasnes akol nedarim she'yador b'shana bo she'yibeteilam. The main thing of Kol Nidrei is going not for the past year, like Hataras Nedarim, which was for the past year. It's what for the future year. Because people are not careful with their words, which we have lately in the Rambam about how careful is the Shabbos Rambam. Right. How careful a person has to be with his tongue. לקח מבטל נויסה בתחילה קודם שיכולו שהתנאי מויר לבטל הנדר שלא יאכל כלל כמו שדבר בירדי סמר ישוד א' אין שם כל דיני ביטל נדר.
We said no, everything.
For next
we
year.
Said, no, everything we said bli neder.
Yeah, exactly. That's why people are careful. צריך לקח צריך לומר יחרטנו בהם כלומר כל הנדונים שעדה בשנה הבאה אני מסחרת להם עכשיו ומסע להם שבתאילם. וגם כל הכל יאמר כל נדר בלאח שמציע ציבור. I'm be sham tzarich lema b'kol rama'at mini she'nishma la'evim etzloi. If a person wants to make a tonight that is nedorim for next year, not going to be nedorim, he has to verbalize it. Kedei sheyasna kol echav echav v'nei atzman nedorim she'idar l'shana haba she'en tnai ad shliach tzibur b'yel acherim. Shliach tzibur is not going to help for individuals. Every person has to say it with his own mouth. Lakach netakam l'oshin yochid di darno di nedarno. So, that the whole idea of the Kol Nidri is that everything I will do, any shvua, any neder, bein al nafshi, bein al nafshi sachedis.
But why we don't say it in normal language?
Because it was not, the Shonim say, because it was netaken in a time when the Jews were talking Lashon Arami. Yom Kippurim zed Yom Kippurim. Okay. Next. Why is it that the minig is starting a daughter in the Kol Nidrim Boyjan? Because it's a Torah Sandarim Shabbos is the problem. Of a Pishin and Matirim and Darim Lashav, I will know about Vatlin and Darim Lashahab. The truth is, when the Torah Sandarim in the morning is for yesterday. But the Kol Nidri is for tomorrow. It's for Lahaba, for next year.
Start from the night. The day start from the night.
Right, so it's not, L'chayr is not a problem. It's not a Torah Nedorim. It's saying at tonight that all the Nedorim were not going to be Chal.
Almost on both the past and the future.
But that's not what it is. He's saying that the Tikkun of Kol Nidri is not to be Mevatel on Neder. It's because really, this is not really how you Mevatel on Neder.
Well, what the past ones?
So the past one's another issue. That's the idea of it. In Kol Nidri, I don't think so.
Yes.
I think it's fixed. It's a lotion that's nazoya. I don't know if it varies that much from nusach to nusach. Are the variations big from nusach? I don't know. Even though the truth is it's not being matir a neder. It's a t'nai to say that the neder from the next year will not be chal. Again, at least according to the nusach of the Alter Rebbe and what the Alter Rebbe is saying, and I didn't see any other nusachos. However, yeshlochu shem yitulam matirim nedorim b'Shabbos and Yom Tov. Mitam zanogim lahavdim b'shnei noshim etzel shkech tziv b'sheshem kol nidrik v'shlo yitulam matirim nedorim b'yochid.
My recollection is the Rebbeinu Tam. So I remember looking at the footnotes in the Machzor that the I guess that this is the Chabad is like the Ari. The Ari is only doing the Durham on the future.
Yeah.
So apparently the other nusach of it goes on the past and the future.
But no one's being matir. You need to have people that say mocholok. They're not saying mocholok.
Well, we also do a Taras and Durham Erev Rosh Hashanah, so
then why do we need this and this?
That's a whole different schmooze.
I don't know. I have to see the other. But the Alter Rebbe is saying that this is really not a Torah Nedorim.
I can bring a Machzor.
He's right, but there are such things going. But apparently, this don't hold up. They're not correct because there's no such thing as being just saying I'm about to do that.
Right.
But there was such things.
All right, I'll bring a Machzor as a Shem and we can look at it.
What does Zohar say about it? What's the Zohar?
In
the beginning, we said about
you have a concept of like it's
yeah, but this is Nedorim.
It's something that doesn't even.
No, there is a thing. A person could make a tanai that his Nedorim shouldn't be chal. So it's not really a Torah Nedorim. It's not a real Torah Nedorim, but it's doima. Therefore, we don't want to do it at night. Lapoil, the minik Chabad is not to be so medactic. Although I think Mishnah Berurah brings that the shul should try not to start Kol Nidrei too late. Why? Because it's good that people have to leave the house, when they can't, like this way they won't accidentally eat. If Kol Nidrei is called for a half hour after Shkia, so exactly.
People should stop eating a half an hour.
Yeah. But Lapol, the minhag Chabad is not to be so makpid to start the Kol Nidrei b'oida yoim. Noigim she'ashtot tzibur yom yosef gimel pamim b'chol pam magbiya kol yosef b'rishon u'keshe b'derech klal b'derech zut nishma be'ema v'yira, that it gives into the heart a certain aim of v'yira. Machshichem menegunim adalat l'spal arbish b'zmana. V'akayim ashtot tzibur gimel pamim v'nislach v'kol v'yom Hashem salachtik v'recha. Al yishan al menu k'yira afilu b'yutim v'negunim shemenagnim sham shelo yival v'ldas hakol. There's a minhag in a city. There's certain nigunim. For example, in Chabad, the night of Yom Kippur, there is a set of a bunch of very hartzik nigunim that are old Chabad nigunim. So Shliach Tzibur shouldn't come along and say, "Yeah, today I'm going to do a few." Yeah,
That's what everyone does.
I shouldn't be mevalvel das hakol. If that's the das hakol, based on Menachem Mendel, that we do. That's what we do. That's what we do. That's what we do. So you shouldn't be mishana. The nigunim should stay. So the das hakol shouldn't be mevulvel.
But it's not better to be mishana so you can barbel satan. You think he knows all the time it's same. What if suddenly you're changing?
I get. I get. ואח יכולים להשליח ציבור שחיון בלקויס, בשם כיפור מדבר הבא מזמן לזמן. צריך לברר שחיון, כמו בכל רגול. There is a shechionu because it's a chag. So the truth is that there's a shaila. Is it because of the chag or is it because of the simcha of the chag? But either way, there's a simcha that there's a kapor of avonis. So el shiev shelavarach halakoisim b'yoyim shum shekim sheberech higionu l'zman hazeh rekibelov yom kippurim. You can't say that you should make shechianu with a kois. If he's going to say Giyonu l'zman hazeh, means that zman hazeh is Yom Kippur, so he's not allowed to drink it. Okay. The Rebbe says that the women already made shechianu, so it's kedai to announce that the women should not make shechianu, because lichbenchen is when the women are saying their shechion. Min adino yenochen shekol akol yetzu yidei chibasem mebichet shliach tzibur v'lei varach alaycha ve'echad b'fnei atzmei. The fisher b'reivam hadas melech. Commotion is boy. So really, there's always that tension between mitzvah boyos and b'shluchi and reivam hadas melech. Like it's in Shulchan Aruch and Siman Reish Yudalet. Like for example, like you see in Chabad, people like to make their own kiddush. You know what I mean? Like, is it better that one person should make kiddush and everyone should listen? Or so there's always that tension. So we say there's certain things, certain mitzvahs that it's more kedai. So for example, Tkiyah Shofar and Kriyas Megillah, we say it's more kedai that one person should be Tekeyah and everyone listens. And because it's one Tkiyah and everyone's listening, so Kilu, everyone is in one mitzvah. So then it doesn't make sense that each one should make his own bracha, because anyway, everyone is shutfim in one mitzvah, and therefore Adarabah, there's a mile of Remadas Melech that let one person make the bracha, and everyone should say Amen. On the other hand, for example, when you put on film, so it's theoretically one person could make the bracha and everyone could say Amen too. But we say that because each person is putting on his own period film, so therefore, and mitzvah b'yos and mishluchai. So better, each one should make their own bracha. Certain mitzvahs we know for sure it's better that each one should make their own, and sometimes the Shulchan Aruch holds that it's better, it should be better to
make your own.
Right.
I don't know about
The Leisha Sukkah, there's a whole discussion about it. Some hold that it's one sukkah.
Whenever I've been in the sukkah and the balabas, my father.
They made it.
My father made all the brachas and leisha. We said answer amen to everything. And we participated
Right.
in the one.
So this makes a lot of sense because sitting in the same sukkah. Minhag Chabad is not that way. Minhag Chabad is that everyone makes their own. It's just that they make it later when they eat the bread.
Not on the wine.
No. They make it later when they eat the challah. That's the minhag Chabad.
Okay.
But here, like sukkah is where you see where there is like because everyone's sitting in one sukkah. On the other hand, there's two ways of looking at it. So it's a very interesting sugya. This sugya. When do we say it's better that we each make our separate bracha, and when is it better to have one bracha and everyone is part of the same thing?
Everybody makes Shechiah, not only the chazan. He makes it loud.
Yeah.
And everybody makes it by himself.
He says, וכן יבורך כל אחד ואחד לעצמו בלחש, ויזור לסיים קודם שיסיים השליח ציבור כדי שיוכל להכניס אמן אחר בחץ השליח ציבור. That the best thing is, that's our minhag, right? That in the night of Yom Kippur, everyone says Shechionu v'kimonu v'yonu l'zman hazeh, and then the shliach tzibur finishes, and he finishes after everyone else. So therefore, you could say Amen. So you have the mile of saying Amen. Leila Kippur macharos emrin barshim kod machutz elanavad b'koram. Pish amru b'medish alamosh lamarim sham lamalachei sharatzay mekaltzan lakadosh baruch hu barshim kod machutz elanavad. V'rida l'yisra. Moshe heard the secret. He heard the way the angels praised the Eibishter with Baruch Shem. V'tzivalam la'amru b'chashai. He told the Yidden to say it quietly. Moshe la'adam shagonav chayfetz noah mitoich palteidin shel melech v'nosna l'isha. There was a man that stole something from the king's palace and he gave it to his wife. He says, when you put on your jewelry, the one that I stole from the queen, that special piece, don't go out in the street with that. It's interesting. A Simon Samachalaf, he says a totally different reason. He says the whole thing about Yaakov Avinu and Moshe Rabbeinu, that Yaakov Avinu, when he passed away, he said Shema Yisrael, the kid said that he said, "Are you all holding by Achdus Hashem?" And they said Shema Yisrael. His name is Yisrael. Listen to our father, whose name is Yisrael. Hashem Elokeinu, Hashem Echad. And he said Baruch Shem. Okay. So there's two madrashim really. This is one reason for Baruch Shem and the other reason for Baruch Shem. Mchol b'Shabbos, Amrim v'yechulu achat filas arvis v'shchitzibelem b'bachar achas main sheva v'kat Shabbos v'namaskem Kippurim, because main sheva has nothing to do with Yom Kippur. Ve'inem kabal Shabbos of mizmer she'er yesh l'amri k'edim baruchu ein emin avil malkenu shchot Shabbos melevad v'net filas ne'ilik k'mashik bar b'sem mentop reshon gimel she'er eslichtet v'chenesem k'mashik b'chel ein emin ba'ava mikre kodesh afilas shchol Shabbos and ba'ava ish emin b'chel. L'poil, the minhag Chabad is yet to say ba'ava mikre kodesh. Noegim she'enem elokenu v'asenu ritzevim nuchasenu shachol b'Shabbos kiv mishu yominu ein lanu rotzen kol kach v'menuchasenu, because we don't have such a pleasure in the menucha of Shabbos and Yom Kippur equally. Shabbos we eat a chont and kugel. The menucha is really nice. Yom Kippur we're in shul the whole day, we're fasting, so the menucha is not such a big menucha. So then that's what talking the minhag Chabad according to the Arizal and the Shalah is yet to say on Yom Kippur it's saying of Menuchasein. So it goes very well with everything we spoke about in the Maimeh Bayan Chavay Revecha Vechnes Paul Shirtz Geshborach Moshe Shem Menucha Gemora. Okay. Well, the point of the minhag Chabad is to say it's saving Menuchasenu. Open our heart to serve you with emes. That first we say v'tar lebeinu, open our heart, purify our heart, open holy arteries in our heart, and through that, ki'ata solcha. Because how do we get to have open arteries in our heart? How do we have new channels of tahar in our heart? Because the Eibishter is giving us slicha. Okay. Usually, you have to have a person on the right and the left, the shliach tzibur. Tamshin is bo Hashem. Lachin gam Yom Kippurim ein tzarech lamed. V'lachin noegim shetekev acher borchu holchem ma'al shliach tzibur anoshim she'om de'etzl b'shlas amir is kol nidre. We said when they said al das hamokim, we want to have, or to say we return also Sefer Torah. When we say al das hamokim, we want to have 3 people because it's al da to emphasize. When we do kol nidre, we want to add similar to kataras and darim with 3 people, even though it's not really kataras and darim, it's similar. But now we don't need. Why? We usually the Shulchan Aruch says be'evi shliach tzibur the chazan should have a person on the right and the left. Why? Because it says that Moshe va'aram v'chur yor'olu rosh hagiva, and they held his hands tomchum yodem b'zeach b'zeach. That's an emes by Taina Sibur Yidam Espal Flevish that the shliach tzibur should have with 2 people. And the
This is for a war, no?
but there is a svarim that bring that the minig was always that by a tainus that there was a person on the right and the left, the shliach tzibur. True, that was by a war, but there was a tefillah for a sorah, so we learn from that the minig. But the lapal, that's not our minig. The Marovov says 2 reasons. One is that in the old minig, the shliach tzibur spoke and everyone listened. So shliach tzibur's tefillah was like Moshe, similar to Moshe. Moshe was mispal, and they were not mispal. Moshe was.
They didn't have to do it like us. So that's
They
why
didn't have exactly. It's not shy.
they knew how to daven. They knew. The people just sitting over.
Exactly. How this was like. They didn't have a book. They didn't have a book.
They never book.
So shliach tzibur knew it, and they were listening. So therefore, so that was similar to Moshe Rabbeinu. That Moshe was mispalel, and therefore he needed the tomchu miyodim mizeh that he needed Aram V'chur to give him the extra boost. So therefore, for that we have that Shliach Tzibur has 2 people to give him the extra boost. But Bisman everyone's saying it anyway, so it's not shaykh that minik. It's not shaykh that minik. Talking about Shliach Tzibur, talking about the Nigunim. So there is a beautiful story from the Abteruv. And they say that he was Yom Kippur. He was very old. The Oyev Yisrael. He was in bed. He couldn't get out of bed. And next to him there was the Naftali Bropshitz, and the Mendel Rimenev. And he asked that Naftali Bropshitz knew it was a good davening. Yeah, it was a good shliach tzibur. They both all of a sudden started laughing. So the Mendel Rimenev asked what they were laughing about. So he said that they saw they were in heaven, and they said, you know, that last year, the Chmon Sun, there was a lot of women that had machlis and things, and it was a terrible thing. So, I mean, today it's an unbelievable thing with medicine, but Baruch Hashem, it's, but even today, it happens that I have a good friend that married off a child this week, and his wife had a baby, and she said she's not feeling right. So they said in the hospital, it's nothing. She said, but it's not feeling right. By the time they listened to her, she gave an Yetzias Hanashama. And that was an unbelievable story. Her sister saw that he's left with 5 Yisayimim, so she had a younger sister who decided to marry him.
Wow.
And they had Baruch Hashem now. He's like, I just saw him today. He was on the way to the airport. So
He has 5 children with her sister,
and now he's my age, and he has he has in his hand a baby. He has like from 2 sisters, and he was just last week they had a chasna. So you think today with all the he married his daughter. He married off this week. He married off. Yeah. This story happened.
Is he remarried? His wife's sister?
His wife's sister, yeah.
Chalitza, no?
No,
It's not Chalitza, what is it called?
no, this is a different story. He had 5 children, and there were Yisayimim. There was a baby. The baby was then 3 days old, and the mother passed away. So the sister said, I'm going to marry you, and I'm going to take care of the kids. This is a good friend of mine. He was very choshev, a very, very nice person.
And the sister was single?
Yeah, she was single. Yeah. Sure. And the Baruch Hashem, very happy. Worked out very nice.
Very interesting.
So,
What's
They have in Hebrew a name for that. When the sister married him, when he lost his wife, and her sister married him. I don't know, they have in Hebrew a word for it.
Just saying that you see that it's not so, and Amalek Tzayim and Achman al-Islam, they didn't have, so there was, but we like, by a Yid, there's no such thing, say, there was no doctor in town. but it's a Gzeira Malamayla. So there was that year, there's a lot of Jewish women that Nebuch passed away. So they said that what happened, they were in heaven, and there was Ish Poshu that didn't know how to say Lashon Kodesh well. He didn't know Lashon Kodesh. He knew Yiddish, he didn't know Lashon Kodesh. So he said the Baruch and Erev Yom Kippur, and he said, there's a lot of Kavanah. And when he said to Baruch Leinu, he wanted to say, Baruch Shenasenu Kashanam HaTovis. So he said, Baruch Neshasenu Kanoshim HaTovis. And in heaven, that was Moira, such an unbelievable thing that the Gzeira was in his battle. And that's why the HaRav and I've told you, Rav just were laughing, because he davened so well that he was Mavatal the Gzeira. And he said, Baruch Neshasenu Kanoshim HaTovis.
It doesn't sound like to be a joke.
This is the story. He said it with a lot of kavanah, and he was mevatel a Gzeira.
It wasn't for the Kavanah, then just changing the word would make the difference.
Yeah.
Like a kid that didn't know how to read good, and someone said Shabbos, he said, "Agalach hagoy reisi."
Yesh neigen lam that agleim kol hayom v'chol halayla. The hainu cold man shein oren balayla and yoishvin. There is a meaning for people that they daven the whole davening standing, but they should still sleep. That doesn't, if you have that meaning to stand all, that doesn't mean you're not allowed to sleep. Aber bis ich hol schon aus lischen basic nesses machobak Yom Kippur im neugem lischen basic nesses bis einmal sham shides bis shbach ze roiva laima. There is a minhag to sleep in the Beis. The Gemara has a whole discussion about this, because in the days of the Beis Hamikdash, the minhag was that a lot of people used to come and learn in the chotzer of the Beis Hamikdash the whole night. Why? That the Kohen Gadol shouldn't sleep. Besides that, there was Pirchei Kahuna around him, and they were busy with him. But the Gemara says that there were a lot of Talmidei Chacham used to come. Why? He shouldn't. Can you imagine? You have an office in the yeshiva. Here in the corner, you have an office. You're working in yeshiva, and in the middle of the day, and there's 500 Talmidei yeshiva. Gemara, you can't fall asleep. But it's the Maladim Gemara. You're going to fall asleep. You can't fall asleep. So when the Kohen Gadol hears that there's the whole Harabayis, they're learning about Avodah in the Beis Hamikdash, Maladim Mesachas Yoma. Could you imagine thousands and thousands of Yidden and Meret and Maladim? So how can you sleep when there's so much excitement going on? The Gemara says that after Churban L'Zeicha, that there was that in a lot of Kehillos used to do it, and the Gemara says there was eventually a takola that used to become a hangout. The Gemara says a story Mechuzah, that in the one night of Yom Kippur, that a few girls started up the sulas, and at the after Yom Kippur, Shenish Geven came sulas. So it was a little bit of a takola. But still, we see that minhag stayed a lot. And there's a minhag atik yoimin that's brought in Sforim HaKadoshim, that to say the whole Tehillim. Why? Because Tehillim has everything in it. I don't know how many. Chabad has that minhag very strong. The Rebbe used to stay in downstairs and say the whole Tehillim with the oil. That was No. Finish davening, say Tehillim, and the Rebbe didn't like when they said it super fast. Like in the Chabad, the minhag of Shana Rabbah is to say it super fast. But Night Yom Kippur was regular. And that's a minhag that goes back to that Gemara, and the Mishnah, that there was the minhag in the time of the Beis Hamikdash to stay up in the night of Yom Kippur. So, based on that minhag, there used to be places that when they finished, so they said Tehillim, or they learned Mesachas Yoma, whatever they did, and then instead of going home to sleep, they used to sleep in the Beis HaKnesses. Also, Lishim Beis HaKnesses, Makomok, V'leim Kippurim, Noigim Lishim Beis HaKnesses, B'Shem Shem Shidin Tishbach V'Rei V'Layla, B'Shem Shem Lish Mesaneres, V'Em Kachshal Shisa, Kim Shel Tzareh Beis HaKnesses, Achizor Lishim B'Mar, Brach V'Naoren, Beis HaKnesses Shel Noshim, Ein Shem Noshim, Abloizim Shem Reitzim Lam Shem Shidin Tishbach V'Lishim Kol Beis HaKnesses, V'Chavdanim Nispalim B'Yoin, Lo Yoiru Kol Alayla, B'Shem Afsidim As Koilam, Even a regular person that is the night of Yom Kippur doing the avodah, saying Tehillim, he's saying Mesachas Yoma. It's not kedai to be up all night. Like it's kedai to sleep a little bit. To another half koyach to do the tefillah. Before you go to sleep, by the way, there's a whole discussion. Baruch Shem, you say it loud when you do Krishma Shalamita, and Chabad is to say it loud. To say the first 4 kapitel of Tilim. Shem Shmira Lekeri. V'gam Tev Lizor Shelo Yatav Atzmai B'chorim B'B'Ksosas Shelo Yovel Deichimum Shel Kaponim Lizor Shelo Chasas Raglo V'Zechel Dove V'Tegal Maraglois Shelo Boyos Shelo Yovel Deichimum. That's interesting. The way to read it. That she uncovered the sheets on Boaz's feet. Why did she uncover the sheets by Boaz's feet? Because you think in the simple story, Kila says a love story. It's faked. She wanted that because she came to visit him and talk to him, so she was choished that maybe Chas v'Shalom will have a mikra loila, which will be not toher. So she told them that the secret is that what's the secret? Not to have keri by night, to you have a blanket, but not to have the blanket over your feet, because that's the tev of a person. If his feet are sticking out of the blanket and it's cold, that he won't come lidei chimum, and that's a trick. So and the other trick is to say the first 4 kapitel Tilim, and there's a whole thing with it. That's why in the Sidurim it's printed in a certain way. Look in the back. He brings from the Siddur. I'm sure almost in the back over here. It's the page. Yeah. Achar Arvis Yishlem Adal Mazayrim Meshenim Shabatilim. Kiyesh Behem Shai Tevis 310 letters. Kaminyan Keri, which is 310, and that's going to save the person that's a schuz that he won't have Keri. Beroshe Tevis V'Sefer Tevis Mamizmarim Heim Kuf Lamed Aleph. Kaminyan Samuel, which is a bad angel. We talked about that angel yesterday. Kedeli Notzel Mekeri. V'gam Yechavim B'Shem Yudkei Bavkei B'Nigud B'Vris. These 3 Nakudas B'Vris, which these 3 Nakudas is basically a special thing to be Machaven in the oasis of Yudkei Bavkei. And that's like a special thing to protect the person. Okay, let's read a little more. Toiv shaloi laharich b'tfil shachris kedei lamar bin yishuch l'spal mutzah kodem vav shos meftzah. B'mherech echaz m'yoysim edai v'yev shaloi achra mutzah chadacha vav shos meftzah yish l'dalek slichas of v'nam alkeinu. I don't know if the shul ever did such a thing. Kedei lahaschil tfilas musav kodem shigei zman tfilas mincha. We want to try to at least start musav before 1:30. I mean, I'm saying 1:30 now, but because then you have a question which should come first. Yeah. Anyway. Interesting. Like the lotion that is brought, toiv ma'at bekavona, mahar b'shaloi bekavona. Huh? Yeah, exactly. That we're not trying that kavona.
You can't. You're bugging your teeth by it's such a whoever wrote it. Such ironic.
Okay, they shall help him. That we shall have a ksivach sema toiva, we shall have a shana toiva